has got cilia all over the body, all over or the body or the entire body surface of that Balantidium coli, Tropozoites of Balantidium coli, as the organ of locomotion. Here in this Giardia lamblia, here it has got many long, delicate, thread-like extension of cytoplasm known as flagella, as the organ of locomotion. So this Giardia lamblia, this protozoan parasite, is also known as flagellates. Okay, Giardia lamblia, protozoan parasite causing diarrheal disease known as giardiasis. This protozoan parasite have several long, delicate, thread-like extensions of cytoplasm known as flagella, and this acts as the organ of locomotion. In case of Entamoeba histolytica, pseudopodia is the organ of locomotion. In case of Balantidium coli, cilia is the organ of locomotion. And here in Giardia lamblia, it has got flagella as the organ of locomotion. So is also known as flagellates. And these flagellated protozoa can be classified as, it belongs to phylum Sarcomastigophora, subphylum Mastigophora, and class Kinetoplastidae. As this Giardia lamblia is lumen-dwelling parasite, it means it resides or it lives within the small intestine of human, that is in duodenum and upper part of jejunum. Okay, in case of Entamoeba histolytica and Balantidium coli, they reside or they inhabit in large intestine of human. Okay, Entamoeba histolytica and Balantidium coli both lives in large intestine, whereas this protozoan parasite, this Giardia lamblia, lives in duodenum and upper part of jejunum. That means this Giardia lamblia resides or inhabits within small intestine of human. Okay, that is in duodenum and upper part of jejunum. So this Giardia lamblia is also known as Giardia intestinalis or Giardia duodenalis. Giardia lamblia is also known as Giardia intestinalis and Giardia duodenalis. Duodenalis because it is usually found in duodenum and also in upper part of jejunum, that is the part of small intestine. And this parasite, this Giardia lamblia, was first observed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek in 1681 in his one stool by self-made microscope. Okay, this Giardia lamblia was first observed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek in 1681 in his one stool by his self-made microscope. But the detailed study was done only in 1869 and was done by Professor Giard of Paris and Professor Lamble of Prague. So the name Giardia lamblia was from Giardia. The Giardia is after Professor Giard of Paris and lamblia after Professor Lamble of Prague. Okay, these two scientists made detailed study about this parasite, but was first observed by Anton van Leeuwenhoek and named Giardia after Professor Giard of Paris and lamblia after Professor Lamble of Prague. Okay, we're talking about the geographical distribution of this parasite. This protozoan parasite is one of the most common. This parasite is one of the most common protozoan parasite. This Giardia lamblia is one of the most common protozoan parasites. So is known as cosmopolitan parasite that has worldwide in distribution. And this Giardia lamblia is highly prevalent, or highest prevalence is seen in tropic and subtropic area having low sanitation. It means its prevalence is high in area where sanitation is low. And this Giardia lamblia was the first pathogen to infect infants in developing countries with prevalence rate of 15 to 20%. That usually occur in children under 10 years of age. It means this Giardia lamblia is the first protozoan parasite to infect children, usually in developing countries. It means 15 to 20% of children below 10 years old are infected by Giardia lamblia. Talking about its morphology, this Giardia lamblia exists in two forms. It means the life cycle or the Giardia lamblia exists in two states or two forms, that is tropozoites and cysts. The life cycle of Giardia lamblia is very simple with two stages known as tropozoites and cysts, just like in Balantidium coli. Tropozoites, which is slightly larger than cysts and usually are active state, known as active state, motile state, and feeding state. Whereas cysts, this is inactive, non-motile, non-feeding state, but is the infective stage. But this cyst is known as infective stage. Tropozoites, Giardia lamblia. The tropozoites of Giardia lamblia is pure shaped, or it can be described as many shapes, or it can be compared to many different shapes like pyriform shape, heart shaped, or racket shape, with its anterior part somewhat rounded and its posterior part somewhat pointed. And it has got size of 10 to 29 micrometer in length and 5 to 15 micrometer in width. Okay, these tropozoites of the Giardia lamblia can be compared with many different shapes like pear shape, pyriform shape, heart shape, or racket shape. That is having somewhat rounded anterior portion and pointed posterior portion with size of 10 to 20 micrometer in length and 5 to 15 micrometer in width. And this tropozoite is dorsally convex and ventrally it is concave. And the ventral part of this tropozoite has got sucking discs. And with the help of this sucking discs, these tropozoites remain attached to the epithelial cell of the intestine. Okay, and this tropozoites, as it is motile, stays here. The flagella acts as the organ of locomotion. Okay, and the tropozoites moves with slow oscillation that can be compared with falling leaves. It means the tropozoites moves with slow oscillation, just similar to the falling leaves. And these tropozoites are bilaterally symmetrical. It has got two nuclei, one in either side of midline, and its nuclei, inside its nuclei there is prominent karyosome. So giving typical eye appearance. So it is commonly, this tropozoites is commonly described as resembling an owl face or an old man with glasses. Due to presence of two nuclei on either side of the midline with central prominent karyosome, it is usually compared, or it is usually described as resembling an owl face or an old man with glasses. Does it look like? Here two eye, just like old owl face or as old man with glasses. And it has got two exostyles that running along the midline of the tropozoites. And it has got four pair of flagella. It has got four pairs of flagella. Pairs of flagella means altogether it has got 8 flagella. And it has got two sausage-shaped parabasal or median bodies. Two sausage-shaped parabasal or median bodies. The function of this median body is not known. Okay, these four pairs of flagella are arise from the basal body known as blepharoplast. Okay, this is the tropozoid of, this is the structure of tropozoites of this Giardia lamblia. The shape can be compared with serval shape. The shape of this Giardia lamblia can be compared with different types like pear shaped, racket shaped, yes, pyriform shape, heart shape, because it has got rounded anterior end and pointed posterior end. Okay, this tropozoite is convex dorsally, whereas concave ventrally. And ventral part of this tropozoid has got sucking discs. And with the help of these sucking discs, it remains attached to the epithelial lining of intestine. Okay, sucking discs present in the ventral part of the tropozoids. And it occupied almost half area of the tropozoids. This ventral sucking discs occupied almost half of the tropozoids, half area of the tropozoids. It is motile with slow oscillation with the help of these flagella, and the motility. This motility can be compared to the falling leaves. It moves just like falling leaves. Okay, it is bilaterally symmetrical. It has got two nucleus with prominent caryosome that are located centrally, just like eyes. Okay, it has got 4 pair of flagella. Its flagella get arise from basal bodies, and these basal bodies are also known as blepharoplasts. Okay, and it has got 2 median bodies or parabasal bodies, and the function of these median bodies is not known. It has got 2 exostyle that running across the midline of the tropozoids, and it probably provide support to the tropozoids. Okay, this is all about the structure or morphology of tropozoids of Giardia lamblia. And here cyst form. The cyst form is somewhat ovoid and is 11 to 14 micrometer length in length and 7 to 10 micrometer in breadth. Okay, and is surrounded by tough haline cyst wall. And the young cysts contain 2 nuclei, whereas the mature cysts contain 4 nuclei. This nuclei may be situated in one end, or it lies in pairs in opposite poles. And the remains of flagella and margin of sucking discs may be seen in the cyst. Okay, cyst, this is oval in shape, having size of 11 to 14 micrometer by 7 to 10 micrometer. It is surrounded by thick haline cyst wall. Young cysts contain 2 nuclei, whereas mature cysts contain 4 nuclei, and these nuclei may lie in one end or are divided into 2 ends or lies in pairs in 2 poles, 2 opposite poles. And sometimes within these cysts we can see remains of flagella and marking of sucking discs. And this cyst also has got exostyles that lie more or less diagonally, forming sorts of dividing line within the cyst wall. This is the 2 exostyles that lies more or less diagonally, forming sorts of dividing line within the cyst wall. And this cyst is the infective stage, that is also known as transmission stage. Okay, and the patient may excrete up to 200,000 cysts per gram of feces. Okay, maybe up to 200,000 cysts are excreted in per gram of feces. And this cyst, as it is the infective stage, it is the transmission stage, it remains viable in soil and water for many weeks. Whereas tropozoids, as soon as it gets excreted in external environment, it dies or disintegrates. It cannot survive, right? In case of tropozoids, but here cysts remain viable in soil and water for many weeks, so it contaminates food, water, and it is the transmission stage. And when this contaminated or water, food containing cysts are ingested by individual, he or she get infected. So these cysts are known as infective stage. Talking about the life cycle of this Giardia lamblia. Giardia lamblia has got very simple life cycle. It means it completes its life cycle in only one host. Yes, and it has got 2 different forms or 2 different stages, tropozoids and cysts. Okay, first the infection by humans. Human infection is acquired by ingestion of mature cyst, that may be through fecal route or by direct person-to-person transmission. Direct person-to-person transmission may occur in children in daycare, in homosexuals, and mentally ill person. It means infection is acquired by ingestion of mature cyst that may be through fecal oral route, that is ingestion of contaminated food and water, or through direct person to person, direct contact in between person to person, that usually occurs in children, homosexuals, and mentally ill persons. Okay, after ingestion or after getting cyst, the excision after ingestion of cyst, as this cyst get exposed to the low pH of stomach, the excision occurs in duodenum within half an hour. Okay, after ingestion of this cyst, either by fecal route or by direct contact, excision occur in duodenum within half an hour of ingestion due to exposure to low pH of stomach. Okay, excision during excision, one cyst will give rise to two tropozoites. Okay, one cyst hatch out into two tropozoites, and these Giardia lamblia, these tropozoites of Giardia lamblia usually multiply by binary fission, that is longitudinal binary fission. Right? In case of Balantidium coli, multiplies by transverse binary fission. Yes, here the tropozoites of this Giardia lamblia multiply by longitudinal binary fission. Okay, and these thus multiplied tropozoites will colonize the duodenum and upper part of jejunum. And these tropozoites remain attached to the epithelium of the villi by ventral discs. That is the ventral sucking discs. Okay, and as the tropozoites moves down to colon, incystation occurs. And thus, incised tropozoites undergoes nuclear division, form quadrinucleated mature cysts. As the tropozoites transit down to the colon, incystation occurs. It means the tropozoites get converted into cysts. During this process, the flagella get retracted, yes, and the flagella get retracted and start to synthesize the cyst wall. And after forming cysts, there occur nuclear division and converted and cause conversion of immature cyst into mature cyst. Okay, immature cyst will have only 2 nuclei, whereas mature cyst will have 4 nuclei. It means the incised tropozoites or the immature tropozoites undergoes nuclear division and form quadrinucleated mature cysts. And also the internal structure are also get doubled. It means along with nuclei, the internal structure are also get doubled in mature cysts, so that during incystation, one cyst will give rise to 2 tropozoites. And this cytoplasm become condensed and the cyst wall is secreted, and cyst usually excreted in formed stool, or cyst usually can be seen also in formed stool, whereas tropozoites can only seen in loose stool or diarrheal stool. Okay, this is the figure showing life cycle of Giardia lamblia. Here, the human acquire infection either by fecal-oral route or by direct contact. As the cyst get ingested, it get exposed to the low acid, gastric acid, and it get, after exposing the cyst in gastric acid, the cyst undergo excision in duodenum within half an hour of ingestion, and during excision, one cyst will give rise to two tropozoites, and these tropozoites will colonize the duodenum and upper jejunum, and these tropozoites usually multiply by longitudinal binary fission, and they remain attached to the epithelial lining with the help of ventral sucking discs. Okay, as these tropozoites transit down the colon, incystation occur. Incystation means tropozoites get converted into cyst. It starts secreting cyst wall, okay, and occur nuclear division forming quadrinucleated cyst, and internal structure are also get doubled and are excreted along with feces. And as the cyst can survive in external environment for many days, it contaminates food, water, And when again cysts containing food, water get ingested, the life cycle will repeat. Okay, this is about Giardia lamblia life cycle. Are you getting my point? बुझिराछौ सबैले सुनिराछौ?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, now pathogenicity of Giardia lamblia. The infective dose for this Giardia lamblia is considered as 10 to 100 cysts. It means ingestion of cysts in between 10 to 100 can cause infection. Okay, as the cyst has got tough haline cyst wall, it is resistant to the gastric acid. So even ingestion of very less number of cysts, like 10 cysts, can also cause infection in susceptible individual. Okay, the infective dose for Giardia lamblia is 10 to 100 cysts. It means ingestion of cysts in between 10 to 100 can cause disease in susceptible individual. And incubation period of this Giardia lamblia is variable, but it's about 2 weeks. Okay, and this Giardia lamblia, after ingestion, get multiplied, colonized within the small intestine, that is jejunum, upper jejunum and duodenum. Yes, and in that area it remain, the Giardia lamblia remain tightly adhered to intestinal epithelium by ventral sucking discs. It means with the help of ventral sucking discs, this Giardia lamblia remain attached to the intestinal epithelium, but it does not invade tissue. Okay, unlike Entamoeba histolytica and Balantidium coli, this Giardia lamblia does not invade tissue. It just remain attached to the intestinal epithelium by its sucking discs. Okay, due to tight attachment, due to tight adherence to intestinal epithelium, these Giardia lamblia rarely can cause inflammation of duodenum and jejunum. Okay, due to tight attachment to the intestinal epithelium, it rarely can cause inflammation of duodenum and jejunum. And due to heavy infection, the Giardia lamblia, the tropozoites of Giardia lamblia remain tightly attached to the epithelial lining of small intestine. Yes, and this result in abnormalities of bilious structure. It means the attachment of tropozoites to the epithelial lining of small intestine through its ventral sucking discs results abnormalities of bilious structure, causing disturbance in intestinal function. Okay, it means all the clinical manifestation that usually seen in this giardiasis is due to bilious abnormalities of bilious structure, due to tight attachment, due to adherence of tropozoites to the intestinal lining. Okay, and due to disturbance, due to abnormalities in this structure, it causes malabsorption of fat. It results malabsorption of fat, vitamin A, B12, similarly different disaccharides, especially lactose, and proteins. Okay, due to abnormalities of bilious structure, due to disruption of small intestine, it causes malabsorption of fat. It causes malabsorption of fat. Abnormalities of bilious structure cause malabsorption of fat, vitamin A, B12 disaccharide, especially lactose, and proteins. A patient may complain dull epigastric pain, flatulence, and chronic diarrhea of steatorrhea type. Due to malabsorption of the food of this fat, vitamin A, dissolve, the patient may also complain epigastric pain, flatulence, and chronic diarrhea of steatorrhea type. Steatorrhea type is due to malabsorption of fats. And stool in chronic or in later on, the stool become voluminous, foul smelling, and contain amount of mucus and fat. That is steatorrhea type stool, but no blood and no any white blood cells, no any pus cells. can be seen in stool. Okay, stool contains large amount of mucus and fat due to malabsorption, but the stool do not contain any blood and WBC or any pus cells because Giardia lamblia do not invade the intestinal lining. Okay, it just remain attached to the epithelial lining. Sometimes this Giardia lamblia may localize to biliary tract. Okay, and this may lead to chronic cholecystitis and jaundice. Okay, rarely these trophozoites of this Giardia lamblia may localize to biliary tract, which may lead to cholecystitis and jaundice. Okay, and usually this Giardia, this infection, the Giardiasis, is usually seen in individual having blood group A, gastric achlorohydria or hypochlorohydria or hypogamma globulin anemia, chronic pancreatitis, malnutrition, and reduced secretory IgA level in gut. Okay, individual with these factors are usually susceptible to giardiasis. Okay, it means individual having blood group A, gastric achlorohydria, hypogamma globulin anemia, chronic pancreatitis, malnutrition, and reduced secretory IgA level in gut. IgA level in mucosa of gut are highly susceptible to giardiasis. Okay, talking about the clinical manifestation, the ingestion of cyst results in one of the three outcomes. Either it causes no infection. In most of the healthy immunocompetent individual, it causes no infection. And in certain individual, it may cause asymptomatic infection. Asymptomatic infection means no any symptoms, but that individual may excrete cyst along with stool for certain period of time. Okay, and some individuals with different factors develop symptomatic infection, and the symptomatic giardiasis usually occurs with onset of abdominal cramping and frequent foul-smelling stool. Okay, the ingestion of cyst results in one of the three outcomes. Most of the immunocompetent healthy individual, there is no infection occur, and some individual may develop asymptomatic infection. Asymptomatic infection means no any sign and symptoms, but individual in symptomatic giardiasis, there is abrupt is all of sudden onset of abdominal cramping along with frequent foul smelling, stool, and most of the symptomatic giardiasis are self-limiting, result spontaneously within 4 weeks, right? Most of the symptomatic giardiasis are self-limiting. Most of the symptomatic giardiasis are most of the symptomatic giardiasis are often self-limiting that resolves spontaneously without treatment within 4 weeks, right? But some may be quite severe or may lead to hospitalization. And usually these severe chronic cases are usually seen in children and immunocompromised individuals having those factors we have already talked, like that achlorohydria, hypogamma globulin anemia, pancreatitis, chronic pancreatitis. Yes, these individuals having this factor will develop severe and prolonged symptoms, and this resulting malabsorption, weight loss, and retarded growth in children. And all these complications will result with treatment, but lactose intolerance may persist for many several weeks even after treatment. Okay, because here, due to tight adherence of these trophozoites of Giardia lamblia to the intestinal epithelial cell, cause damage of villi having disaccharidase property. It means due to tight adherence, it destroys the disaccharidase property having villi in the intestinal lining of small intestine. So in order to restore this disaccharidase property of this villi, the destroyed villi, it takes several weeks or it takes long period of time in order to restore that disaccharidase property within the villi of small intestine. So lactose intolerance will persist for several weeks. Okay. Now laboratory diagnosis. Laboratory diagnosis of giardiasis can be done by stool examination. Macroscopically, stool in giardiasis is steatorrhea type, that is, it contains large amount of mucus and fat, but no blood cells and no pus cells, because giardia lamblia only attach to the epithelial lining but do not invade, like that in the Megahistolytica and Balantidium coli. Okay, it do not invade, giardia lamblia do not invade the intestinal lining. And microscopically, the diagnosis is made by identification of tropozoites and cysts. It means microscopically, the diagnosis of giardiasis is made by identification of tropozoites and cysts, and it can be microscopically, it can be observed under both saline weight preparation as well as iodine weight preparation. It means these tropozoites or cysts can be observed either in saline weight mount or in iodine weight mount. Okay, cysts are normally found. Cysts are normally excreted with stool and is also usually found in formed stool. But tropozoites are only found in fresh specimen of diarrheal type stool. It means tropozoites are usually only found in loose stool. And as the both tropozoites as well as cysts, as this both tropozoites as well as cysts shed intermittently. It means these both cysts and tropozoites are excreted only intermittently. Several samples, several stool samples must be observed to confirm diagnosis or to report negative. Several stool samples should be observed because both the cysts and tropozoites are shed intermittently. Okay, these are the microscopic view of tropozoites and cysts. These two figures showing tropozoites with flagella can be identified with its shape and presence of flagella, and these two are cysts of the giardia lamblia, having nuclei, exostyle, and oval shape without flagella. And duodenal contents, it means the diagnosis can also made by observing tropozoites in bile aspirated from duodenum, either by intubation or by enterotest. Diagnosis can also made by detection of tropozoites in bile aspirated from duodenum, either by intubation or by enterotest. That is also known as string test. It means the enterotest is also known as string test. But string test that we already mentioned in Vibrio cholerae, in identification method of Vibrio cholerae. Yes, string test. And this is different from that string test. In case of that Vibrio cholerae, there we will emulsify the Vibrio colonies with 0.5% sodium deoxycholate. And when loop is, when we try to pull that suspension by inoculating loop, there is development of string, so known as string test. In case of Vibrio cholerae, okay. Here, in case of this laboratory diagnosis of giardia lamblia, the bile can be aspirated by enterotest, which is also known as string test, because here the coil thread inside the gelatin capsule, it means the gelatin capsule containing coil thread inside, is allowed to salloid, and the one free end of that string is attached to the cheek. So after 2 hours, after ingestion of this gelatin capsule, it gets dissolved in stomach, yes, and the coil thread will pass down, and after 2 hours, the thread is withdrawn, and it is placed in saline and mechanically shaken, and also the suspension is centrifuged, and the deposit of that suspension is examined for tropozoites. Okay, here string test, where enterotest is also known as string test, which is done for extraction of done for getting bile from duodenum. And here in enterotest or string test, the coil thread inside gelatin capsule is allowed to solid after attaching its free into cheek, okay? And after 2 hours, the thread is withdrawn, it is placed in normal saline, mechanically second, centrifuge, and deposit will examine for trophozoite. Okay. Diagnosis can also be made by antigen detection, antibody detection, culture that is not routinely used. Antigen detection can be done by fluorescent method or by ELISA by using antibodies specific for Giardia proteins or Giardia antigens. It means the antigens, specific Giardia antigens can be detected in stool, either by fluorescent method or by ELISA by using specific antibodies. So as here the antigen is detected in stool, known as copro antigen detection, okay? And this copro antigen detection method is very sensitive and specific in comparison to microscopy. And antibody detection, anti-Giardia antibodies can be detected in serum by using specific antigen, Giardia antigen. By using specific Giardia antigen, we can also detect Giardia antibody serum, but this antibody detection method is not useful in diagnosis as it may indicate present or past infection. Okay, and culture, the culture of Giardia lamblia is not routinely done, but it can be done in exenic media of Entamoeba histolytica, that is Diamond's media. Okay, culture can be done on Diamond's media, which is also used for culturing Entamoeba histolytica. Treatment, the Giardia lamblia can be, this giardiasis or infection caused by this Giardia lamblia can be treated by metronidazole. Metronidazole is one of the very effective drug. 150 mg 3 times a day, 5 to 7 days can eliminate giardiasis. Tinidazole 2 gram, 1 dose can also eliminate giardiasis. And flurazolidone, it is usually given for children's. Prevention, proper disposal of waste, water, and feces, as this giardiasis is fecal-oral, usually transmitted by fecal-oral route. So its prevalence is higher in place where sanitation is poor. So proper disposal of waste, water, and feces should be done. Practice of personal good hygiene should be followed, like hand washing before having meal. Usually this is chlorine. Okay, so chlorination do not prevent giardiasis. So boiling and filtration through membrane filter are required for prevention of giardiasis. This is all about Giardia lamblia. Any questions? Laboratory diagnosis can be made by stool examination, microscopically contain mucus and fat. That is, stool may be steatorrhea type, containing large amount of mucus and fat. Yes, but do not contain blood. And adipose cell, microscopically identification or diagnosis can be made by identification of cyst and trophozoites under saline weight mount or iodine weight mount. And then duodenal content can be observed for detection of trophozoites, and this duodenal content can be obtained either by intubation or by enterotest or string test. Antigen detection, antibody detection, and culture. This is all about laboratory diagnosis, genicity, all the clinical manifestation or pathogenicity of this Giardia lamblia is due to destruction of villi of intestinal lining. Yes. Okay, this is all about. Okay, thank you, class.